This is Betting Weekly Premier League show. You with myself, Dan Roebuck, alongside me, Nigel Seeley and Jack Wright. We are recording late on Thursday evening because Mr. Nigel Seeley Esquire insisted that we take in the Brighton-Manchester City game to make sure that we knew the result. Nigel, how are you?
What a terrible decision by me to do that. What was I thinking of? Why didn't we just blag it? We knew they were going to win. They're 4-0 up now in the 93rd minute. Why didn't we just blag it and just said, yeah, they won? I just thought we might have had some picks in the top of the table. And your question always at the start of the show is, how do you think the title race is going to go? I thought we look a bit silly.
Yeah,
But
I
now
think.
the time
Listen,
is like, I'm an early riser.
listen. I'm happy. I'm happy with the professionalism that's been showed on this show throughout the vast majority of the season. And why drop the standards now?
I know exactly. You just come in from a hard day of work and a nice cup of tea there. I'll see you there. Very professional.
yeah. That's how the camera shot. City beat Brighton. Arsenal beat Chelsea. I mean, Nigel, Liverpool losing to Everton. It's a two-horse race, isn't it? Now, I mean, the odds are roughly City minus 200, Arsenal plus 200, or thereabouts. City might be a little bit bigger than that. Liverpool 33, 40 to 1 shots.
Yeah, it's done for Liverpool. Over. Disappointing for me, disappointing for everyone on the show as well. We've tipped Liverpool up to win the Premier League. I've got a lot of anti-post positions personally on Liverpool. I've got Liverpool, Man City to finish in the top two in any order, and they've just run out of legs, haven't they? They've just completely run out of legs. Their key players at key moments in the season haven't delivered. Mo Salah, Darwin Núñez just haven't delivered. Diaz has been probably their only shining light, really, but they just run out of gas at the crucial time. And it's happened to other teams over years. I just thought Liverpool, with their strength and probably also with the emotion of Jurgen Klopp, the fact that we sort of questioned, didn't we, a few months ago when Jurgen Klopp was announced that he was going to leave at the end of the season. We thought he might galvanise them to a trophy. It probably had the opposite effect. They probably wanted it too much, and they've rushed things. And Klopp's probably a bit on the sidelines there, not as emotionless as he usually is. I mean, years ago he'd been throwing it, going crazy, just sort of going through the motions now, and it's just gone too much. And the performance tonight for Manchester City, I mean, they were sensational. Foden, and they're doing all this without Haaland as well. So, I mean, it's a tough ask for Arsenal. They've got to go now to Tottenham at the weekend and win, and then they've got to hope that really Tottenham do them a favour and beat Man City. And why would Tottenham fans don't really want Tottenham to win that? But it could be a lot on the line here. But I just think tonight Man City have just shown their class, and I think it's going to be a tall order for anyone to stop them now.
A word on Arsenal, though, Jack, because they were brilliant against Chelsea. They really were. And people were questioning, well, how is Mikel Arteta's side going to, rise to that midweek challenge of Chelsea at home? Can they put pressure on City? They did that. They were brilliant.
Yeah, I think for me, the best thing about them was the fact that how are they going to respond to that setback, the Villa defeat, the Bayern Munich defeat? We saw it last season where they crumbled and they fell away. Tricky, tight Wolves, but they navigated. Yeah, it was a good time to play Wolves, but they blew Chelsea out of the water. All they can do is their own take care of their own business, isn't it? And they did that in an emphatic style. It's been answered by Manchester City. We always say you go first, you set the bar, and if at the end of the day, if Manchester City keep going and keep matching them stride for stride, punch for punch, then what can you do? It's very similar to how many years ago was it now? 3-4 years ago when Liverpool and City just went punch for punch and it ended up like 97, 98 points. So all Arsenal can do is take care of their own business. And of course, a massive game this weekend.
Yeah, Spurs away. We'll get some leans on that one. We shall see what the boys have got ahead of that, though. Liverpool, as we mentioned, around about 33 to 1 to win the title. It looks like their chance has gone, but we'll get a lean maybe on their trip to West Ham as well. Of course, Arnie Slot is now the favourite to take over. His final side tonight has just beaten Go Ahead Eagles, which I'm not quite sure is an easy game or not. But speaking of Eagles...
Arnie Slot, that sounds like a sort of an arcade game, casino game at Bet Rivers.
Headline writers are going to have an absolute dream if he comes to the Premier League next season. But he wants the job. They've sounded him out.
He'll be back, Arnie. He'll be back if it doesn't work out.
Fine order off the pace in the Eredivisie. PSV won 8-0 tonight. Anyway, speaking of Eagles, Fulham versus Crystal Palace we're going to kick off with here. That was my segue before I got interrupted. 10 a.m. Saturday. We've both got picks in this one. Fulham, even money just a bit bigger. Palace plus 255, draw plus 265. Palace going well, Nigel, at the moment. 3-1's on the spin. Haven't won 4 in the Premier League for the best part of 4 years. What are your thoughts here?
I think they might get it. I think they might get the 4. I think they really are. I mean, we touched on Crystal Palace last week. I gave a little bit of analysis of them. Obviously that my brother goes there quite regularly, as we've mentioned many times. But there's a feel good factor around Crystal Palace Football Club at the moment. They're playing some really entertaining football. They are much the better side against Newcastle and beat Newcastle 2-0. Probably should have won one more. They've afforded the luxury of resting Elise. He didn't play in that match. He come on later on in the second half. Eze again was sublime, and they've got a striker. Mateta obviously scoring goals. I mean, just unbelievable how the turnaround in him. The whole turnaround of the Crystal Palace team is amazing. A lot of people at the time sort of thought, Roy Hodgson, he's a servant to the club. We should move him upstairs. Well, Glasner's come in and he's just changed the fortunes around the Crystal Palace. And I think you come here now with 2 teams not far away from separated geographically, but I think 2 teams very, very far in their opinion of the season. I think the Fulham fans will be thinking to themselves, let's just get the season over and done with. Let's haven't, we've done as well as we can, build for next season, see what we can do. And the Palace fans just want to keep going on as long as they possibly can. They just want to keep playing and playing this style because they are playing sensational football at the moment. I was really, really close to putting Crystal Palace up on the money line, because I just think we're about 15 units behind at the moment. So I thought, well, there's no point. But I thought I'll just say it's safe and I'll just do the wacky ones for the final day of the season. But anyone who wants to bet Crystal Palace on the money line here, I think you've got a decent bet here at +2.
Last time you said this, you put up a 10-1 shot. You didn't put it on the P&L sheet.
I know I didn't, but anyway, that's okay. And I tipped 4-2 last week in the show on the Manchester United to beat Sheffield United. I would have said it'd be 4-2, but I didn't obviously do that. But I wouldn't do it. But the final day of the season, we're having a smash up. We're down for
Hail Mary time.
4-6 is 6-0. Don't worry about that. Anyway, Fulham are stumbling towards the end of the season. They've lost 3 of their last 4 home matches against Newcastle's a 1-0 defeat. When you look at that form line compared to the form line of Crystal Palace obviously obliterated them. Liverpool, they lost 3-1. When you think about Liverpool at the moment, Liverpool aren't playing very well. A 3-1 defeat against Liverpool in this current mood. Is that a bad performance? I just think Fulham just really, they're a side that I think are just walking around playing in their espadrilles and ready for the beach. And I think Palace just want to keep going and in the groove. So very tempted to go for Palace on the money line, but I thought I'm going to stay it safe. The crazy picks a bit later on in the season, and I go for Palace on the draw no bet market at +150. Wouldn't surprise me at all to see this game being like a 2-2 and an end of the season shootout between the two of them. I fancy goals. And so for that reason, that slight concern about the draw, going to go for Palace draw no bet, money back if it's a draw at +150, which I think is a fantastic price.
Guarantee you that Jack's got some drills in his wardrobe, just waiting for the sun to break out to rock him. I absolutely know that is the truth.
Man, he's a croc man.
Yeah, you can't be.
He's a croc man.
No, nobody. You can't. Jack, have you got any Crocs?
You'll find out on the last day of the season.
We're not having Crocs on the show, but we've got sort of a double. We've got a sort of a double unit on the show this week because you're not draw no bet, but you're close. Variation on a theme here, Jack.
I've got even more cautious, haven't I? I've gone Palace all the tie at -132. So, yeah, very much in favour of Palace. I mean, I'm impressed with Nigel's. He's gone from flip flops. It used to be flip flops. It's espadrilles now. Jesus,
well, I've travelled a bit this year.
Didn't you?
I just come out from the south of France.
Yeah, you can tell.
Espadrilles.
All the same reasons. I was going to say, Oliver Glasner, I think massively impressed the fact that he's come in to completely change the style of play outside of transfer windows, and he's done it whilst they've still needed points to get away from the bottom. And I think that deserves huge amounts of credit. And of course, those last 3 games have been superb. And I watched the first half against Newcastle in midweek, and they were exceptional. Didn't even allow Newcastle a shot. And I put them up on the money line on the Instagram account as an in-play bet on that one, and it cruised home at a very nice price. So I'm happy to go in again here, obviously with the safety net of the fact if it does end all square with this bet, we get a win on that as well. So I said the symmetry Nigel touched on there with the last 3 games. These 2 sides have played the same sides, haven't they? So Fulham have lost 2 of those, and we've said Palace have been hugely impressive in winning all 3. So that in itself is nice to draw a very quick snapshot on where these 2 sides are at the minute. We've got nothing else to add that's not already been said. So yeah, simple as that. Palace loving what I'm seeing at the moment. Let's go again.
Palace saw the tie, -130. So you could play them both if you wanted to. You could split your stakes, see how you play it for that London derby. 10 a.m. Saturday Eastern. Also 10 a.m. Saturday Eastern time is Manchester United versus Burnley. United -200. Burnley +480. The draw +390 here. The last time United at home to Burnley, they were -270 in the Premier League. It's almost like they've not really changed it as much as they should do, given United's form, and they give goals away. I mean, Burnley are 3 points from safety. I've seen around about 7-1, I think, to escape and stay in the Premier League. Is that worth taking, do you think, Nigel, or do you think that boat has sailed?
I think they've got to rely on other teams dropping points. I'd rather bet them individually in matches rather than take the price of them to go up here, starting with here. I think they've got
which you have done for this one. Go on.
Yeah, I think they've got a great chance. I mean, I've been on the Burnley sort of train in the last month or so, but every time I've bet them on this show, they've either conceded a last-minute goal or been a push. I haven't been on the right side of them when they've won. I mean, I sort of saw that the improvement on them, but wanted them on my side. Saw how they changed their things around. Saw the bold managerial decisions that Vincent Kompany had done, and I wanted to be with them. And every time I've gone with them, we've just got a push, or we've conceded. We were 2-0 up and conceded 2 goals late on, which has pretty been the story of the season so far. Anyway, that's enough, and we move on. But I think they've got a chance here. I think they've got a great chance here because Man United just can't defend. They've won one win in their last 7, and that was against Sheffield United. Conceded 17 goals in those 7 matches, which is shocking, absolutely shocking. They concede more goals, shots on target than hardly any team in the Premier League. The bottom team, Sheffield United, really troubled them. Took the lead twice, conceded 2 goals, and then left it late to score as well. And Burnley, under Kompany, are showing really, really signs of improvement. Obviously, they're fighting for their life at the bottom of the table, which is an incentive for them. Manchester United, I know they're going for European competition and European spots, but the way the Premier League is at the moment, there is a little bit of a gap now between Manchester United, Tottenham and Newcastle and the rest. So you would expect the people in that position to occupy those positions. I know people might say they might need one more win, or they might go to 6th or 7th, but the chances of them dropping out of European spaces are very slim. They've also got the FA Cup final against Manchester City, and I just got to look at Ten Hag, and I just look at he doesn't care less. To me, he just looks like a bloke who thinks, I know I'm going to get the sack. I know I'm done in. Gareth Southgate probably come here in the summer when England lose in the semi-finals or the final on penalties, and I'm gone here. So I might as well just play like a basketball start of football, and I give Burnley a chance. I mean, they won defeat in 7. Burnley, they scored 13 goals in that period, which is they never scored any goals. Really, they conceded loads, but they really wasn't really scoring. They're now scoring. They're still conceding. I think again, this is another high-scoring game. Over 3.5 is the line. You've got to expect goals here, but I think the need is massively much more for Burnley than Manchester United. Again, I'll be tempted to bet Burnley on the money line, but I don't think there's a huge amount of value on the price on Burnley to win the money line. I think it's been factored in, but I do think Burnley +1 is a great bet at +105 because you pretty much can guarantee that Burnley are going to score. So if Burnley, Man United just cannot keep a clean sheet. So if you think that Sheffield United scored 2 at Old Trafford, you would expect Burnley to score at least 1. And if they score at least 1, Man United have got to score 3 for us to lose this play. So I think that's a little bit of incentive, and to get plus money as well is value for me. So I'm going to go for Burnley to continue their good run, Man United to keep conceding goals at an alarming rate, which they are doing so at the moment. And if it is just a 1-goal margin win, the Burnley, it'll be a push. But I just can't see Man United scoring 3 goals because we do know that Burnley will score at least 1. And I give them a chance. I give Burnley a chance here.
Both teams to score. Yes, he's like -200. It's very, very short. And even total goals over is -105. So Nigel's just inched it up to a plus money pick there, and you get your money back if United win by 1. That's Manchester United, Burnley, 10 a.m. Saturday. 3 p.m. Saturday evening game in the UK, Villa versus Chelsea. Villa +118 now. They're unbeaten in 5 at home, Jack. They've rediscovered their mojo a little bit. They were a standing dish for us earlier this season. And yes, they play Olympiacos on Thursday. They'll be mindful of that. But also, they've got the chance to go 9 points clear of Spurs here before Spurs playing that North London derby. This is a big game for Villa, isn't it, against Chelsea?
It's a huge game, yeah, and you made a good point. Next week they've got Olympiacos, and they know that Spurs have got that huge game that we've talked about already at the weekend. They win this one, 9 points, and if Arsenal do them a favour and beat Spurs, they've then got that little bit of buffer, a decent buffer as well, because of course Spurs have still got Man City to play as well on top of that. So they've got a real tough run in Spurs, and Villa can really, really cement their place here. But for me, this game, yeah, Villa on the money line for me at plus 118. Villa are on that upward trajectory. They have been all season. Well, they have been ever since Unai Emery stepped through the door, haven't they? We started off by talking about since he's been there, they're matching Man City and Arsenal, Liverpool for points per game. And then it carried on until we're now into this part of the season where they're a top 4 side, and they are there in their own right. And since he's been there, it's been very, very consistent. Great performance to get through to that Europa Conference League semi-final on penalties, and a great performance last week because they could have wobbled, went goal behind against Bournemouth, came back. That man, Ollie Watkins, again, if he's not scoring goals, he's assisting goals. 19 goals scored for the season, 12 assists as well. They've got that midfield area tight with McGinn, with Douglas Luiz will be back for this one as well. They've got the energy on the width, and they've got arguably the best goalkeeper in the world. And that's all the ingredients to absolutely drive this club forward. And of course, the kind of icing on the cake, I guess, this week is the fact that Unai Emery has signed a new contract. So they've nailed him down for a long time, and they seem to just be a match made in heaven. And the complete opposite really of what's going on at Chelsea at the moment. So we've got a side that has kind of got everything going well in a unit. They know what they're doing. And then you've got Chelsea, who's that complete and utter roller coaster. And it was encapsulated, that season was encapsulated in the last 7 to 10 days when they started off by a 6-0 thumping of Everton at home. They then got knocked out in the semi-finals of the FA Cup, having missed lots and lots of chances, standard fare all season, and then go and turn in a horror show and get thumped 5-0. And let's be honest, yes, they missed a couple of chances that they could have got back into the game. Arsenal could have scored 7 or 8 there, and Chelsea would have had no complaints. And Pochettino said himself, they were very, very soft in that performance, and it was embarrassing, really, to be fair. So, yeah, Villa, 5 unbeaten at home now. That man, Watkins, as said, has scored 4 of those goals and also assisted twice. And that performance from Chelsea against Arsenal would put a lot of fear. If I was a Chelsea fan, would put a lot of fear into going to Villa, because I see Villa at home, Chelsea and Arsenal at home as quite similar. You look at the records, there's only 3 points difference this season for the home records. And they've scored exactly the same amount of goals, those two clubs, Arsenal and Villa, at home. And the pace, the energy, Chelsea are just a bit of a lazy side. If they've got those guys making those runs past them, they haven't got enough players there that can be bothered to get back and track it. And that's going to leave them in all kinds of problems here, because if they score, Villa will go and score 2 or 3. Villa will get loads of chances in this game, and they've got the players to make the most of it. So for me, this is a decent slice of value at plus 118, because if these two sides reversed, if this was Chelsea with the home form that Villa's gotten in 4th and playing as well as they were against the 9th placed Aston Villa side, would you reckon Chelsea would be about minus 120, 125,
Probably
if not
lower.
even bigger?
Probably
lower.
Yeah.
So that for me is priced up, I think, a little bit on names here, and a little bit of injustice, I think, for how good Villa are and how well they've performed consistently over the last 12, 18 months.
I just looked at the prices for Arsenal, Chelsea from midweek, Nigel. I mean, Arsenal were minus 186 to beat Chelsea at home. Jack's just outlined the fact that the home records are fairly similar. Now, Arsenal are a better side than Villa. I wouldn't expect them to be the same, but at plus 118, that's a value play. Are you rowing in? Are we double unit playing here?
Yeah, we are. I'm betting it. I can understand a little bit why the price is different. Obviously, it's being factored in this Europa Conference match semi-final. But, you know, they're not away, are they? They're at home. I mean, they're at home. You know, they're playing a team in the Olympiacos that traditionally aren't very good travellers. So I know it's a big match, but you would think that the priority would be to win 3 points here rather than Europa Conference. I don't know. I think it would be. They secure that Champions League final position. You've also got to remember that last match they played against Bournemouth, there was a huge market negativity towards Aston Villa, which was proved unjust. The market drifted massively on Villa. I think I put them up at minus 125, minus 0.75, and they started the match on the money line at minus 110. There was a huge market drift for Villa. So the market doesn't like them. And I think the market doesn't like them because of their involvement in European football. But I like him here. There was, you know, Chelsea have got some injury concerns, big injury concerns. Gusto is a doubt. Palmer, Cole Palmer, you referred as, even the managers referred to Chelsea as Cole Palmer FC. And that's how important he is, and if he doesn't play, that is the heart and soul of Chelsea Football Club at the moment. Chilwell's out. Fernandes is out. Villa on the team news will have Douglas Luiz back. Villa obviously negative towards them, but they're unbeaten in 5 at home. They scored 14 goals in that period, 4 wins and 1 draw. Chelsea on the back of a 5-0 defeat. Again, another manager who's under pressure. Another manager that the fans don't really want him. So I would say here Chelsea at +1, Villa at +118 is a cracking bet.
There we go. 2-unit play. Villa to beat Chelsea. Really good value on the game. It's Saturday night UK, 3 p.m. Eastern. I'm really glad that one of you has tipped up in the Forest City game, because obviously, why on earth are we recording it 10:15 at night? So,
well, we could have looked stupid, couldn't we? Man City could have lost. Man City could have lost tonight, and we could have been talking about saying we don't really know. It was.
That's what I said at the top of the show.
But we could have done it at half time, but someone was out. So that was we could have done.
Listen, some of us work for a living. So Forest versus City, 11:30 a.m. on Sunday. It's the main game in the UK on Sunday. Forest are now +1,000 at 10-1 now. I mean, it's amazing. I put the prices up in the running order. And I thought, well, they're not going to change. I mean, why Forest have gone 10-1 from 8-1? Because City were always going to win. City are -385. They've gotten shorter. Draw +525. Corresponding fixture last year was 1-1. This is Pep's 300th Premier League game in charge of City on Sunday. But Nuno has got a decent record against him. Jack, what is the play? Forest City.
It's a familiar theme. I've done this before quite recently. It paid off. And I like this one again. Both teams to score. When I last looked, the odds were -120. I don't know if they've changed much after that, because Man City did actually keep a clean sheet tonight, which is disappointing. I'll edit my notes as I go down. But yeah, I think when managers have got good records against another manager or a specific club, I think that does give them that element of confidence, especially one that are generally pretty invincible in the form of Manchester City. For me, this one, look, again, we take it for granted that Manchester City are going to score in this. So both teams to score is a play on Forest scoring. It's quite a big discrepancy, actually. I remember last time when Luton, there was not much difference between the Luton scoring and both teams to score. This one is quite a bit different, actually. So hence, very happy to take the -120 on this at both teams to score. We've talked about it over the last couple of seasons since Forest got promoted back into the Premier League. Their home record has been very strong. Not as strong this season, but one thing that has been pretty consistent is their ability to score goals at home. We discard pretty much their away form because it is like night and day compared to their home form. At home, very, very good record. They've only failed to score in 5 Premier League games at home since they got promoted into the league last season. So it's a very, very strong record. That's 36 home games they've had in total. So they've pulled their weight in that respect completely. And you can see why. When you look at their attackers, they've got a lot of real good talent in those forward areas. Chris Wood's got 12 goals this season, which is a great return for a side that are bottom 4 and don't create loads of chances, don't have a lot of the ball, and he does a lot of work holding the ball up. But he's not been a complete regular throughout the course of the season either. So I think that is a very strong return. And then you look around him, you've got the likes of Morgan Gibbs-White, who is exceptional on the ball, tricky, great at delivering set pieces as well, which could be crucial here as well. And they brought in Gio Reyna, who from Dortmund, who's played obviously Champions League football regularly over the last few seasons as well. He's now starting to find his feet a little bit, or lose his feet in the penalty box, but no penalty last weekend. Hudson-Odoi as well, again, who's done well at Chelsea and is out for injury and he's come back and he's now looking again back to somewhere near his best. Also, Alanga, also you can throw into the mix as well. And probably one of their key players who's injured more often than not, unfortunately for them, Owinyi, who apparently is back in training and he might play a small part in this game somewhere. I'd imagine he'll be on the bench and could come on to impact it. So they have got so much in forward areas. And that's what we're worried about here, of course, as far as we just need them to score a goal here, as long as City do their bit as well, which you would very, very much expect to do. As far as City's defensive process is concerned, yeah, they kept a clean sheet tonight, so I'm going to have to change that. That was 1 clean sheet in 9 away, and their last 9 away Premier League games. There's obviously now 2 clean sheets in the last 10. And across the season, that is only their 4th away clean sheet from their 16 away games, which is a terrible record, really, when you consider, obviously, how good Manchester City are. They also conceded in all 5 Champions League away games as well. And they didn't play like big sides in the group stages either. So some lesser lights there managed to get on the score sheet on their own patch. So as far as Forest are concerned, are they going to keep City out? Very, very unlikely. Obviously, you can see that with the odds, but they've kept 2 clean sheets at home across the whole campaign, 17 Premier League outings. So unlikely. As I said, I like this one. It was 1-1 last season as well. So as you say, there's a little bit of ability there. And one thing I will say is that the crowd are obviously going to be absolutely electric at the City ground. That generally is, but this whole siege mentality that they've developed now, the whole fact of it being unjust, is only going to drive them forward. Expect a quick and fast start from Forest to try and get that sucker punch to hold something on to. As I say, both teams to score for me. A really nice play at -120.
Nigel, do you see City slipping up just quickly on City?
No, I don't. I mean, they've been to more hostile places like that over the years. I think they went. I think I don't. Forest will start fast and probably cause them problems and could score, but no, I don't see. I don't see Man City slipping up at all. I think they're too experienced and too good.
Incidentally, I don't know who the referee is for the game, but a penalty kick to be awarded is +190 with Bet Rivers. You never know. Forest might be deserving of one.
I think it's Hooper, the referee. Hooper, who was getting it in the ear off Jurgen Klopp during the week. So he's had a very tough week. A very short straw he's pulled this week.
He was. Just a couple of the games I need your opinion on. No official picks, but hopefully some leans before we wrap things up. Obviously, North London derby, we can't let go without just a quick chat about it. 9 a.m. Sunday, Eastern time. Spurs +335. Arsenal are now -134. They've come in over the last hour. Last time Arsenal were minus money, full stop at Spurs in the league. November 2004. I thought it was more recent than that, but it wasn't. It's a long time ago. They won 5-4 then. They were champions, obviously, off the back of their invincible season. Any value here, Nigel, at all? Anything that catches your eye? Do you think Arsenal will just slip up generally, or do you think this is a game that they will win as they did last year?
Well, it depends on how you interpret value. I mean, really, you're
going to say Spurs are value.
Spurs are the value.
Yeah.
They are the value. You just highlighted the point there that Arsenal have, it's the shortest price they've been in 20 years. They've only won once in the last 9, and that was last year. They hadn't won in 8 years previous to that at Tottenham. Tottenham would be up for it massively. I mean, absolutely huge. You saw what happened with the local derby yesterday with Everton. I think people were doubting their conviction when they ended Tottenham's Liverpool's title hopes, and you see the euphoria from the Everton fans. So. The value is definitely on Tottenham, but whether you think they'll win it, I don't know. But I think the way that the markets go at the moment and the way that people bet Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester City each week, you're probably going to get a bigger price from Tottenham come kickoff. I'm looking at the game and I just think you've got to think goals. You've got to think it's going to be goals. But again, the market's 3.5, very heavy favourite over. So that interprets the value to be the under. So really, I think it's a really, really hard match to call. I think it's really, really difficult. I think that Arsenal have a disadvantage. I don't know. I think Arsenal have a disadvantage going first. I think you want to go second. I like to go second. I like to know what you've done after the result. So I think the pressure is on Arsenal to deliver this match. And I think all season I've expected Arsenal to slip up at the crucial moment from what we saw last year. There doesn't appear to be any evidence of that. We saw it at Aston Villa and they've bounced back in great style. But this has always been a potential banana skin for me. And I think, you speak to every single Tottenham fan, they are hyped about this. And, I think this is such a dangerous thing. And I think if you're taking -134 Arsenal to win this match, you may collect on Monday morning. But if you do that every week, you'll absolutely do it in long term.
Jack, any angles in here? Spurs would have had a couple of weeks off. Don't know if that's a positive for them. Probably.
It's a real tough one. I was going through it as well. And I think every line I'm like, do you know what? I'm not sure. It is one I'd 100% leave alone. And it's going to be a good enough game to watch without a bet on it. Throw something on a maybe a crazy score or a red card or something along those lines. Michael Oliver's the referee. There's generally a bit of red card action in this. Card line in itself is pretty high. So I think it's 6.5 or 5.5, 6, around about that kind of mark for cards. So it's a lot, but generally there are that kind of amount in it. But yeah, I think I wouldn't be taking Arsenal at that price. either. It's just not right. But it's a very tough one to call. So maybe an in-play selection, or say throw something on a big odds and crack a beer and watch it and enjoy it, because it should be a cracking game.
Who's on the reaction show, Nigel, at the weekend?
Simon Holden.
This game will be
no, it's not. It's not. It's Neil Channing. Neil Channing is on this.
But this will be the reaction show will be after this game, won't it? Because it'll be for the City game, so there won't be any sort of in-play action from Steve or anyone. But yeah, I guess you guys might put something up on Instagram if you fancy something after the first half. West Ham Liverpool. I mean, look, this is early game on Saturday, but I thought I'd include it simply because, do we think Liverpool might bounce back here? Are they the right price to bet? I mean, they're minus 186, which seems too short to me. But West Ham themselves, seemingly after the European exit, Nigel, they've, I don't want to say given up, but they're just meandering towards the end of the campaign here. They're plus 460, draw plus 360, 7:30 a.m. Saturday, first game of the weekend for all of us, and very early for Eastern United States backers here. Any thoughts on whether Jurgen's farewell tour, he's just going to end up in, I don't know, in a backstreet boozer in Blackpool rather than, something a bit more glamorous?
I would have opposed Liverpool if they were playing any other team. If they were playing Crystal Palace away or a Bournemouth away at the moment, or someone who was showing a bit of fire spirit, I think Liverpool have down tools. I think they're done. I think they look absolutely done. But the matchup with West Ham makes it's not a bad matchup for them, really, because they look equally done. So again, minus 186. It's another match that screams goals. Again, 3.5 again in line is minus money, over 3.5, 4 goals to win. You've got to look at both teams to score. Again, it's something like minus 220 or something. It's very, very low. If you put over 2.5 goals and both teams to score here, it's coming in at minus 156. I mean, you've never seen prices like that unless it's the last day of the season. I think this again is a bet, a match that you have to swerve. I mean, how can you look at Liverpool and think, how can they come back? How can they bounce back after what's happened to them over the last 10 days? They look done. And also, how can you put any faith in West Ham? You can't. So you've got to look for goals. I think goals again. If you're going to go for over 3.5 in this match, or over 2.5 with them sort of heavy, you might as well just go in and go minus 5.5. It's going to be one of them games, or 4.5 and get a much bigger price. Because if this game goes over, it's going to go over massively rather than just go over like 2-1 or 2-2 or 3-1. I think it'll be a game that just could be 4-2, 5-3. It could go over massively. So I would probably go for the goals, but go for a higher line than the traditional 2.5 or 3.5.
Yeah, 1,096 goals now this season after the 4. Did it end 4-0 to City in the end? So we're pushing on 1,100 goals, which is, the average is 3.25, just a little bit more. But all the lines reflect it. You can't just back blindly anymore, as Nigel's just pointed out. I mean, you're minus money for over 3.5. Jack, finally, any leans on you for this one? Any sort of angles that didn't quite make your picks but were on the short list or the long list?
Yeah, I fancy Jurgen Klopp to give the presenter or the interviewer a very hard time. The fact that he's been beaten in the Merseyside derby, his title campaign's over, and he's got an early kick-off on Saturday. He's not a fan. What a way for him to end. The one thing I looked at is that, Liverpool minus 190, both teams to score big minus money as well, but put them together and you can actually get that up to plus 148. Liverpool win and both teams scoring. So that suddenly, if you do think Liverpool are going to bounce back, that suddenly becomes a bit of an attractive price at plus 148, because you would expect Liverpool aren't going to win this 1-0, 2-0, are you? You'd expect it to be, as we then said, a bit of a goal fest.
So we're looking for overs, maybe Liverpool to mix that one up on the money line as well, if you want to do it in same game parlay. And just a reminder, when it comes to parlays, over the course of the next few games, Bet Rivers have got something of a little bit of a special going on for you. So if you are getting involved, Bet Rivers is going to give you extra credit when you hit the crossbar. Every week, Bet Rivers is offering so close parlay insurance on Premier League parlays of at least 4 legs. So you've got to pick out 4 teams or more. And if your parlay comes up 1 leg short, Bet Rivers will give you part of your stake back as a bonus bet. And depending on your loyalty level, you can get as much as $100 back of your stake in a bonus bet. There are additional rules, so see your Bet Rivers app for full terms and conditions and get your weekly EPL parlay insured. That's from now to the end of the season. We've still got a few more match days to come. We'll get some best bets as well before we round things up. Nigel, what is your best bet across this weekend?
Crystal Palace plus 150 v Fulham, draw no bet, money back if it's a draw.
And Jack, what's your best bet?
Villa money line.
Yeah, I think Villa might be my best bet as well this weekend. That'd be a 3-unit play. I don't box things anymore.
No, when you say it becomes we lose and take a unit off. It's a 1-unit pay.
Well, a quarter of a unit on that one now.
You're the negative effect.
So that's 3 units on Villa, ladies and gentlemen. Joe, put it on the P&L sheet. Nigel, Jack, thanks for your company. Good luck with your plays. We'll keep you everyone updated over the course of the weekend. The boys will have some Instagram action as well. Don't forget about that parlay insurance, like I nearly did. That's what it came in Section 8 rather than Section 1. And that's a wrap for Match Day 35 of Betting Weekly Premier League Show. We're back next week. For now, from all of us, it's goodbye.